So everyone here understands English?
Yeah, more or less.
More or less. Say this, that if I say something that sounds interesting but you don't understand, then just raise your hand and the translator will do what they can do to help clarify. I have absolutely no clue what's been said tonight. This little bit of time that we have here this evening, I want to speak about something that can help bring a focus to our everyday lives to help us understand a little bit better what's actually going on. And for me, Satsang is simply an opportunity to sincerely investigate the nature of self and reality. In other words, just to get profoundly honest with ourselves. And what I want to speak about is a principle that I call the one relationship. And this points to a discovery that allows us to recognize that we are always in relationship with ourselves. That no matter what your relationship circumstance is with another person, that ultimately you're only having a relationship with your own experience. And what I mean by this is, if you wake up in the morning and walk outside and you see a tree in your front yard and you think to yourself, oh my God, I hate that fucking tree. I can promise you that your upset, your conflict has nothing to do with the tree. What's happening is that there's some sort of division inside that's being projected out onto the tree that says, you are the problem. You are why I feel the way that I do, and if you were just gone, then I wouldn't wake up and be upset. Do you understand the concept?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so it's understanding that the reality of your experience, the truth of your experience, is that there is nothing outside of you that can inherently make you feel any way. That all of that, in fact, needs your permission. It's like when somebody says something, it doesn't irritate you. What irritates you are your thoughts about what they said. Your interpretation is what bothers you. And so in understanding this, it's an opportunity to let go of life and let go of other people, to realize that there's nothing out there that's actually your problem. There's nothing actually in the way. But it's pointing to something within the self that is the real issue. And this, of course, is where the answer lies. This is what we're looking for. Is more than we are trying to figure out, how do I be in relationship with other people? How do I be in relationship with my work? How do I be in relationship with money? You recognize that all of those external relationships are just reflecting the one relationship that you have with yourself. Because if we get real honest about our human experience, the biggest difficulty that we're having is this idea that who or what you are isn't enough. That there's some problem with the self. And just as easily we can see how we can take that problem and put it on other people. We say, I'm a mess because you are the way that you are. Or my life is messed up because of what everybody else is doing. But really, do you see how that points back, that says, I think that I'm messed up? I think that there's something about me that's wrong? And this is the whole human dilemma, is that we think that there's something wrong with the one that's living life. And so in this, we don't actually get to experience life. We don't get to experience the present moment where life is actually happening, because we think something's wrong with us. We have to chase some idea in the future. We have to get away from this moment so that we can get to a different moment where we can fix ourselves. And if you've been playing this human game for some time, you've probably recognized that that doesn't work very well. The strategy is I will stress myself out today so I can be happy tomorrow. How's that going? You notice it doesn't work. There's going to be a healing opportunity for this conflict that we have with who we are. Then the first thing that we have to do is let go of blame. We have to acknowledge the sincerity that says, I feel the way that I do because I choose to somehow. This is my own creation. I know it looks like it's because of this person or that person or because of what happened or what might happen. But really the truth is something within me is allowing for this to be here. And so you see in doing that, in just acknowledging a recognition that how you feel isn't determined by what's happening, there's a relaxation that sets in. An ability to just calm down rather than thinking you're a victim of all these different people or all these different circumstances. You understand what I'm saying, or have I lost you?
Yes.
Yeah. This opportunity, and this is one of the things that's so powerful about meditation or even singing or any sort of spiritual practice, is it gives you an opportunity to come back to the present moment and rest. It's like, did you notice that as Marta was playing, there might have been like this sense or peace that kind of came in, and you just found yourself relaxing more and more? And did you notice that as that was happening, you weren't thinking about a bunch of bullshit? That what was happening is you were really coming to the present moment? Maybe you recognize that all of that noise doesn't have anything to do with life. It doesn't have anything to do with what's actually happening. And so you were able to drop into the moment. And do you notice just as easily somebody could be here in the same space listening but not actually listening because they're so consumed by mental noise? And because they're so consumed by mental noise, they can't actually be and enjoy. And I think this is what we want most, isn't it? Rather than getting all the things that we think we want, what we really want is just be. What we really want is to be able to just relax and be ourselves fully, without believing that something's broken, without believing that the future might be a disaster. Really what we want to do is just be alive.
And be happy.
And be happy. And do you notice that when you ask the mind, what do I want? It gives you a list of 100 things. But those 100 things that the mind thinks you want is an internal feeling that you want. It's like you can say, oh, I really want this job. Well, why? Because I want to feel secure. I don't want to have to worry. Or I want to be in this relationship. Why? Because I want to feel loved. I want to feel appreciated. Do you see how all of that isn't really the thing out there? What you want is what you think that thing will give you. And see, even in recognizing this, when the mind tries to pull you in all these different directions, you can recognize that what it's saying that it wants really is to just be here and be well and be at peace. And so just like letting go of blame, of blaming other people, there's this opportunity of letting go of all the wants, of everything that we think we don't have. And recognize, well, maybe I don't really want all those things. A whole lot of material into a tiny bit of time. We just did a 9-day retreat together, and there was just so much stuff that was shared. Whenever I come and speak for just a little bit, I always wish I had so much more time. About the truth is that when you acknowledge it, when you come to terms with the way of things, with the way of life, you see that there's nothing to fight against. There's nothing to resist. There's nothing to push away, because the truth is simply the truth. The opportunity to recognize this is that all of our resistance, our tension, our frustration is pushing against the truth.
I have a question.
When I'm referring to the truth, I'm speaking to the way of things. It's like if we were to discover what is the truth of life, do you recognize that the only place you can discover that is right now? Because right now is the only thing that you could actually call life. this is what's real, this is what's actually happening. And then all of the noise in the mind about yesterday, about 5 years ago, about the future, none of that's actually happening right now. And so in a way you can see that that's not actually true because it's not here, it's not real. And so what I mean by resisting the truth is we are resisting life. We're resisting and pushing away what's showing itself. And we as human beings, we have this pattern of trying to avoid the unknown, trying to solidify or make permanent some sense of security. One way we do this that's super common is like in relationships. And whether you are in a relationship or not, I'm sure you've had some moment in time where you said, oh my God, I just want somebody that I can be with for the rest of my life. And if I could just find that one person, then I'd be so happy. But do you realize that knowing if someone's going to be there for the rest of your life is actually impossible?
Yeah.
You'll never know that. And if that's something that you really want when you are in a relationship, then you find that you can't even enjoy it because you don't know if it's going to continue. You don't know if it's actually what you want. And so this is a way how we resist the unknown of life. We resist the truth. Because the truth of the situation is you don't know. You don't know if it's going to be 2 days, you don't know if it's going to be 20 years. But the truth is that there's right now. And you see, when you release the future and come back to right now, you're so much more available to actually enjoy the relationship. And this is no different from our relationship with life. What the human being is trying to do in life is saying, how can I make it permanent somehow? How can I always feel this way and not feel that way? How can I know that this will be there and that won't be there? Guess what? You can't. Because the truth is that things are always, always changing. And the more you fight against that, the more you want things to stay the same, what happens? You suffer. Life becomes difficult. Life becomes hard. But have you noticed that in your life, up till this moment right now, the only thing that you've been worried about is that you wouldn't make it to this moment? When you really look at the core of the worry, it wasn't so much that you weren't going to get this or weren't going to be that. You were worried that you wouldn't make it to right now and be okay. This is the worry. That somehow what we are isn't going to be okay. And you notice that in your life, in your journey, it hasn't gone the way you thought it was going to? Unless that's just my experience. But somehow, some way, you're here. Life worked out. And you notice that all of those things that you didn't like when you were going through them, maybe suffering, maybe the heartbreak, those were the things that opened you up. Those were the things that softened your heart. Those were the things that showed you a deeper love. It's like life has been working with you, but yet what we do is we try and create a life where we don't have pain, where we don't have heartbreak, where we try and make sure that we never suffer. And so we're trying to deny a reality of life. And any time you try and deny life, you'll feel a tension, a restriction. That's the pushing against the truth. Overall thing that I'm pointing to in this moment together is to recognize that all is well. No matter what it is that you think you're going through, no matter what it is that you think you don't have, what you really want is what you already are. What you really want is this. You want to be breathing. You want to be alive. And you've only tricked yourself, confused yourself into believing that there's something that you're missing. And so the opportunity in coming together in events like these or yoga or meditation is to really allow yourself to drop into that. To drop into a recognition that throughout your whole journey, life has been holding you. Life has been taking care of you. Not giving you what you think you want, but taking care of the realness of what you are. And so the opportunity is when you really recognize that, there's this gratitude that emerges, this thankfulness. And then in that space of gratitude and thankfulness, you start to feel life move with you. You start to see that life is here to support you. And that's what it is that we are all trying to move into. You can call it a flow, where we can flow with life. Yeah.
Do you think there is only one truth or several?
I think there's one now. And to me, that is the truth. That whatever is now is the truth. And see, truth as it relates to the way that I'm pointing isn't something that can be said. It's like if I were to say God is true, how you interpret the word God is different from everybody else. And so everybody else would hear something different. And that's the thing with words, is words can't actually capture the truth. We can use words to point to something, but it's not the actual something. And from my interpretation, all of the spiritual texts and everything that's been said about this is pointing to the discovery that the truth is what is. It's life. It's like people argue about what name to call the trees while they miss the beauty of the trees, right? And so this is how it goes with the truth. People argue and fight over what the truth is using words, but missing the breath that's allowing them to be here. And so in knowing that the truth can't ever be captured with words, then there's no defense of the truth, right? It's like people can really say whatever they want to say, and it's still not. It's like whatever I'm saying, it's not the truth, and I'm pointing to something. And then you discover that truth within yourself, and you interpret it however you interpret it, but you will never be able to articulate it or say it to somebody else. You know what I mean? Because they're going to hear their experience. And this is the intimate nature of truth, is that when you really feel it for yourself, you know, but you often can't say anything about it. You can try, but it doesn't actually capture.